Hey, it's Matt Moscona. You found it. It's AFR Saints, your home for daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Please subscribe, smash the like button, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. And our content this football season is presented by BetUS. Score a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000 when you use the promo code YouTube150. Enjoy the video. Who dat? Break up the Saints, y'all. 2-0 and by a mile. The most impressive-looking 2-0 in the NFL this season, but still just 2-0. Long way to go over a 17-game regular season. Scott Shanle knows a lot about that, knows what it's like to start fast as well, to surpass expectations, and good enough to join us here on the show. Scott, we appreciate it, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good.
All right, let me just start. What's your reaction to the way they've started?
Listen, I think a lot of people, you look around, whether it's local, national media, a lot of people expected this team to be a 9-8, 8-9 type team, and for them to start the season the way they did, there were probably a lot of people that felt like the Carolina Panthers game was a must-win just because of the last couple of years. There was a lot of probably negativity surrounding the head coach, the quarterback, all sorts of things. So to start off the home game, getting the crowd into it, scoring points, and then carrying that over on the road against a good Dallas team, I just think that there's a lot of confidence in that locker room, in the coaching staff, meeting rooms, and hopefully it carries over again. Because once that starts to snowball, you should start playing beyond your expectations.
It's Scott, my hand's in the air. I didn't expect much from this. I didn't even think they'd get to 500 this year. It's certainly completely outplaying that expectation right now. But there's two comps, and you're part of both of them, which is why I'm glad to have you today, aside from always glad to have you. But I know I saw you tweeted it, and a lot of people have noticed this, but since the merger, the only team through 2 weeks to score more points than these New Orleans Saints were your 2009 New Orleans Saints. Do you see any similarities between the two?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, listen, it's a small sample size. We all understand that it's 2 weeks. You're going to face a Philly team where you really haven't faced a team with a good running attack. Carolina's probably going to have the number one pick in the draft. Dallas's Ezekiel Elliott hasn't been good since 2020, 2021. I mean, they just don't have a good running game. And so now Philly's going to bring a different attack that I'm excited about seeing. Are there any weaknesses on this team? Because we haven't seen anybody run the ball. So I think as the season goes along, you get excited about seeing different scenarios, different variables entered, and how you handle it. Like, how does this team handle adversity? They haven't even trailed. They don't know what it's like to be behind. So there's still a lot of things that they have to face before I start saying, yes, they're going to be in the Super Bowl. But the one thing I do know is it's a very talented roster. And it's the reason I felt like they could win the NFC South, because when you just start looking at the names of the people on the piece of paper and the talent level of this team, they were too good not to be better than 8-9 or 9-8. I just look at this and say, who in the NFC scares you? Detroit was the darling of the NFL last year. They lost to the Bucs at home. I mean, the NFC is wide open, and I think that's what's exciting is there's no Mahomes in the NFC that you have to go through to get to the Super Bowl. Why not? Why not have to go through the Superdome to get to the Super Bowl in New Orleans?
We'll get right back to the video. Saints are off to a scorching start. Has the public, the odds makers, caught up to this offense yet? We'll find out. BetUS is a great place to go if you want to wager on the Saints or any of your favorite sports action. It's easy. Remember, right now at BetUS, you can get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next two deposits up to $2,000. Got to use the promo code YouTube150. It's all right here on the screen. Let me show you how easy this is if you want to bet on the Hoodats. You go to BetUS. On the left side right here, you'll see the football tab. You're going to hit the drop down, and we're going to choose NFL odds week 3. Easy enough. So we're going to go find the Saints game on Sunday in the Dome against the Eagles. How about it? Saints, a 3-point favorite, even money. I know the Eagles are coming off a disappointing loss, and the Saints have everybody's attention, but 3 in the Dome, that ain't enough. I'll lay the 3 with the Saints, even money. So we'll come over here. How much do we want to wager? Let's go ahead and wager $25 on the Saints, 25 to win 25. It's even money. We'll place our bet. It's going to ask us to confirm. We'll do that. And then here's our confirmed bet slip. We are locked in, ready to roll. Saints -3. You avoid the hook as well. Get on by BetUS. If you've never sports bet before, now is the time to find out how much more fun you can have watching the Houdads every single week with BetUS. Remember that great deal right here on the screen. 150% deposit bonus on your first deposit and 125% on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. What you waiting for? Get involved right now. It's BetUS, proud partner here on AFR Saints. Now, enjoy the rest of the video. The other great comp, Scott, is we all remember 2009, how great that team was. But the 2 previous teams in 2007, 2008 missed the playoffs. So when you were going through that in 2007 and 2008, can you draw a parallel like what it's like organizationally to sort of stay the course like they have here to get to a point where, man, this team, just what you just said, like they feel like a contender. It's 2 weeks, but yeah, they feel like a contender.
Yeah, certainly. You bring up those 2 years. 2006, there were 0 expectations for our team. Everybody picks us to finish in the bottom of the division. 46 new guys on the roster, whatever it was. And so everybody had a chip on their shoulder. Like, we're going to show everybody, prove everybody wrong. We're going to make our city proud coming back from the hurricane. Like, we had a lot of variables to push us to being great that year. And we exceeded the talent level of that team for sure. 2007, people, Sports Illustrated, and picking us to go to the Super Bowl. We did not handle the expectations well. We didn't put in the same amount of work. It's different when people are telling you you're not good. So I truly, 2008, we were a much better team than our 500 record. We had tons of guys on IR, and you could sense it starting to get to something special in 2008. And then we fixed our secondary. We just added the perfect pieces of the puzzle, and that's why 2009 took off. But I think last year, a lot of people weren't paying attention to the Saints, especially Derek Carr. Derek played great at the end of the season last year, and I think he's carried that confidence over to this year. So there were a lot of things that were hidden in 2008 that we carried over to 2009, and I think the same thing for the 2023 season that they carried over to 2024.
Former Saint linebacker Scott Shanle is our guest. Of course, you can catch him pre- and post-game with the Saints. You can go to their Twitter. You can see the pre- and post there, show that Scott does in studio. I want to dig a little deeper on the 2006 comp. You said in 2006 you all exceeded expectations, but exceeded your talent level. If this team continues on this path, and again, we keep stressing, Scott, and we understand it's 2 games. It's a small sample, but it's been so incredibly impressive. Like, are they outplaying even their talent level, considering the age of the defense, the uncertainty on the offensive line? Same, you could say maybe at running back and receiver. Like, yes, there's really good players on this roster, Scott, but there's also, I think, notable holes or questions on the roster coming in the year as well.
Yeah, and I think just based on the way the last year went, it's like, okay, you're going to roll out the same guy or the same guys at these position groups that weren't very good last year. How's that going to work? But I think some guys have really improved their level of play. And I think, I was fortunate enough to go out to California for a week, the last week of camp, and watch this team up close and go to meetings and hang out around them in the hotel. And I walked away from that. I told people, I'm like, it's not broken. And they're like, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, the chemistry is awesome. The old guys are coaching up the young guys. Like, it felt when we were there. And so I knew the culture wasn't broken. And that excited me, just being around it and seeing it. And I'm glad it's paid off into 2 early wins. But it's about for me, it's about how do you handle adversity? Say you drop Philly at home. How do you bounce back from that game? Because it is easy to play great when everybody's patting you on the back, telling you the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's how do you handle the adverse situations? I go back to our 2009 season. We start off, obviously, 13 straight wins, but there were moments early in the season that we questioned how good we were. We got down to a bad Miami Dolphins team on the road and came back and ended up winning that game handily. But that's what I want to see from this team. When they face adversity, how do they respond? And that'll give you a good indication of if they're ready for the big time.
I got a couple of more for you, and I'm glad you brought up that 13-0 start. And this kind of dovetails into something that you were talking about a bit ago. So if you're Dennis Allen, if you're this team right now, you've had these 2 blowout wins. How do you focus on, or what do you focus on improving when you've been nearly flawless? Like, how do you go be self-critical in a film session when you've offensively scored on all 15 possessions that your first team's been out there.
Yeah, it's hard to, because especially as a coach, you always want to play the perfect game and you always want to keep fixing things, but you have to be careful not to overcoach. You have to be careful about not coaching things that aren't happening or things that aren't existing and destroying the confidence of your players. Because right now, if I'm a New Orleans Saints offensive player, I feel like we can score on every single time we touch the ball because we almost done it. Eventually, that's not going to happen, but the confidence on that side of the ball is unbelievable. You couple that with the play calling has been great, the screens, the running game, the play action pass, like the way Kamara fits in this offense, you equate it to what the 49ers are doing. You look McCaffrey and Kamara, they're the same player. Obviously, McCaffrey has success in that offense. You look at Purdy. Purdy was just a guy. And look at what type of player he's been in that offense. If Derek can just not turn the football over and continue to make those great throws down the field off the play action pass, this offense can continue to do it. But make no mistake about it, this offensive line has been the unsung hero of this team so far. They were one of the weaknesses of this team last year. So far, they played great. They dominated Dallas. And if they can keep playing like that, this offense can be hard to stop.
All right, before you go, it's a good follow-up there. It's almost like you're looking at all my questions. These are really good lead-ins for everything I want to ask you. So as a defensive player, you're watching this Saints offense. Because this is my big question, Scott, is, okay, now that we've seen Kubiak, the more film you put out, the more defensive coordinators are going to be able to game plan against whatever tendencies you may have. How are you scheming against this Saints offense?
It's a good question, because right now, I want to say I'm not letting the ball go over my head because Shaheed's speed scares me. But if you do that and you keep two safeties deep, Kamara's going to dice you underneath with the running game and the screen game, and Olave emerged last week. And I think that's what you're seeing. I think defenses are having a hard time picking their poison right now and it's a huge compliment to Klint. Klint's keeping defenses on their heels. He's keeping defensive coordinators on their heels. They don't know whether it's run or pass. And it all comes down to, and I mentioned them, the offensive line. If they keep road grading other grown men like this 2 and 3 yards off the line of scrimmage, this team's going to be hard to beat just because of the weapons. But for me, to stop this Saints offense, I'm probably going to blitz a little bit more and take some chances. And Mike Zimmer's not a big aggressive blitzer. He's a lot of quarters, cover 4. Carolina's a bad football team. So they're going to face a better team in Philadelphia this week, but it's going to be at home and the dome's going to be rocking. So I think they can continue this win streak.
Before you go, how fired up are you about the Huskers?
Oh, it's been a long time. It's been a long time since we've had a defense like that. But the quarterback, this kid's amazing. I played with his dad, Dominic Raiola, was a center with me at Nebraska.
Yeah.
Played about 12, 15 years with the Lions. His son has transformed the program. I mean, we have people coming in on visits, 5-star recruits that would have never considered Nebraska because the last couple of years, and they want to play with him. And I really think with the 12-team playoff, you keep winning games. Nebraska's schedule's pretty easy. They could be 7-0 before Ohio State. You never know what can happen, but it's exciting. They have a defense and a quarterback, and a lot of times you can win a lot of games with that.
Scott Shanle, former Saint linebacker, Super Bowl champ, happy Husker as well, and rightfully so. We appreciate you always, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Take care.
Thanks so much for watching the video. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, hit the bell so you're notified when we post a new video, and remember to support BetUS, where right now you can get a 150% bonus on your first deposit and a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. Be sure to use that promo code YouTube150.